All right, so this is where it gets fun or weird, depending, what your what your perspective is. So we've established that in terms of establishing your initial position, posturing, movement, a lot of it comes down to breathing, and a lot of it comes down to managing pressure. And the initial breath pattern is really important as a prerequisite, underlying component of most of the corrective exercises that we're going to do. So in certain cases, for certain reasons, we may implement this technique to help you figure out that breath pattern a little bit easier, to facilitate things without as much thought. All right, and so the tool that we actually use for this is a balloon. So the balloon forces you to manage your pressure. It's a little bit more challenging than just breathing out. It'll force you to feel things, force engagement in certain areas that we want to force engagement in. All right, so we're going to go through how to add the balloon to your basic breath pattern. This can be something that we may or may not, depending on your situation, add into the other corrective exercises. So this is another kind of principle-based thing that we're going to want you to potentially work on. So the pattern with the balloon is a couple things. What you're going to do is you're going to take the balloon, you're going to put it into your mouth. We'll have you seal your lips around the balloon. And the initial first step when you're first doing this is just try to blow it up. So I don't really care how you do it. Just get a couple breaths in and see if you can make the balloon fill up without it coming back on you. And you may be surprised how challenging that is. Some people, they get it right away. Others, it really takes some time and practice. And if you can't do that, if you can't just lay there without there being much other constrictions or rules in the process, if you can't sit there and blow up the balloon without the air coming back on you or whatever, it's indicative of a problem that your body has issues managing pressure and position, and those things are going to reveal themselves in the way that you move, which is going to contribute to your pain. So as stupid and as dinky as this may seem, it's actually a really important part of the process if you can't do it. All right, so once you kind of figure that out, if that's a struggle for you, your first homework assignment, your first step is just to literally just figure out how to blow up the balloon. I don't really care how you do it. All right, but once you get an ability to get some air in the balloon, you can start filling it up a little bit. All right, we're gonna go on to the next step of that. All right, so what we're gonna do, you're gonna get your balloon back in your mouth. The key here is just to keep your lips loose around the balloon. If you try to bite down on the balloon or the balloon's between your teeth, it's gonna be tough to get your air through. So you wanna keep a firm seal, but it's relatively loose around your lips as you breathe. Okay, and what we wanna work up to, the next phase of this is you're gonna breathe in through your nose, the balloon's gonna stay in your mouth, you're gonna breathe out into the balloon, okay? And once you get all your air out, I wanna see if you can breathe back in without having to pinch down the neck of the balloon. All right. And see if you can make it bigger with each breath without having to pinch it down. Again, may seem easy, harder than it looks for a lot of people. All right, so if initially you need to blow the balloon up, pinch it down, do whatever you need to keep getting a breath in each time, figure that out first. Once you figure that out, you're gonna figure out how you're gonna breathe into it without pinching it down, or without pinching it down in between breaths. Once you have that down, we're gonna move on to the next step, which is just coordinating the breath pattern and controlling it all within that constriction. So Ben's gonna go ahead, he's gonna get his balloon back in his mouth. All right, he's gonna breathe in through his nose. He's gonna breathe out into the balloon. Okay, he's gonna get every ounce of air he's got out into that balloon. He's gonna make it as big as possible. And when he does that, he's gonna feel his ribs come down. He's gonna feel his abs engage, and he's gonna pause. And after a count of 5, he's gonna keep his ribs right here. He's gonna breathe in through his nose, and he's gonna make that balloon bigger with the next breath. Full breath out, ribs come down. Okay, they stay here. So if my hand's here and he breathes in, I wanna have very minimal feedback into my hands when he breathes in. Full breath out, all the way out, all the way out. Pause, 3 to 5 second pause. No feedback, minimal feedback into my hand as you breathe in, and relax, okay? So the premise is very similar to the previous video that outlines the basic breath pattern. You wanna feel ribs coming down. You want to feel your lower back going into the table. You don't want to be using your neck to breathe in. The breath in is quiet, and you want to sense your expansion in your chest and your back. So you don't want that belly breath. All right, you don't want that just big chest apical breath. The same pattern applies. You're just adding the balloon for some accountability and for a challenge to make sure that you're really regulating your pressure appropriately. All right, so this may or may not be assigned to you as a task. If it is, get some practice in with it before your first session as part of your first step of your program. And if your coach recommends that you add the balloon breathing into any exercise that may be prescribed, come back and use this video as a reference to figure out how to do it. Because what you would essentially do is just get into whatever position we recommend, and you hold the balloon with whatever hands available and use it to facilitate the movement. All right, on to the next one.